Actually, she said, I think a schlong-themed cook-off would have been pretty cool. Non-gendered genitalia-themed cook-off, said Priya. I'm not going home to my girlfriends and telling them that I went to a phallocentric baking event.
Girlfriends, plural, was a new enough development in Priya's life that it had messed up Bridget's seating plan. She and Teresa were still making it work, but an experimental threesome over Christmas had turned into a much less experimental set of regular hookups, which had turned into a solid official relationship just as I was helping Bridge address the invitations. You know, I told her, Teresa and Andy would both have been super welcome. I made spare t-shirts for them and everything. Priya gave a dismissive shrug.
Yeah, but the truly great thing about being in a throuple is that your partners can keep each other company instead of having to come to shit like this where they have to pretend to like your arsehole friends.
I winced. Can we remember that not everybody here knows everybody else, so calling people arseholes might come across the wrong way?
It's fine.
That was Jennifer, who was sitting in her husband's lap sipping a cocktail through a perfectly ordinary straw, thank you very much.
Brian talks like that all the time.
Then again, said Peter from underneath her, Brian is kind of an arsehole himself. Bridget spread her arms wide in an effort to encompass the entire group.
How about we accept that I love you arseholes and leave it at that?
Thinking about it, James Royce was still inspecting his untouched phallic lolly.
We should probably have had arsehole-themed decorations as well.
I glowered at him. How about we definitely shouldn't? My search history is incriminating enough as it is.
Is it, though?
Priya was giving me an I think not look.
You and Oliver practically live together. I bet your search history is nothing but how to make vegan jam and scenic walks near Clerkenwell.
Scarily, non-gender-specific bird-do aside, that was pretty accurate. You can't possibly know that.
Last week,
said Priya in a devastating monotone,
you emailed me to ask my opinion on a table lamp.
As one, the guests gasped.
Luke,
cried James Royce.
No, not a table lamp.
Shut up, I responded, very maturely. Priya nodded gravely.
Yeah, he and Oliver are getting into raw, hardcore table lamping.
Shut up, I responded, very maturely.
They're at it, she went on, nearly every weekend, in every room, on every table.
It was one table. I waved my hands despairingly. One time. Peering archly over his martini glass, James Royce raised an eyebrow.
That's how it starts. But before you know it, you'll be getting into the really kinky stuff like uplighters.
No uplighters, I yelled. Though Oliver had suggested that one would do wonders for the living area in my flat. I do hope, said Peter, that you're at least using surge protection. I stood in a way that I hoped was decisive, not huffy. I hate you all. Does anyone want another drink? Thankfully, most tails were already cocked, but a couple of Bridges' work friends called for a round of Cosmos. Cosmoi? On the way to the bar, I checked my phone to see if my amazing barrister boyfriend was actually going to show up. I'm so sorry, he'd texted. Snowed under at work. I'll be with you as soon as possible. I'm so sorry, he'd texted again. I can't get away quite yet. I'm so sorry, he'd texted again. I'll be leaving in 10 minutes. And then, please don't worry. Everything is fine, and I'm definitely going to be on my way soon. Then, I'm sure you've thrown a wonderful party. Then, I realise this is substandard boyfriending. I'll make it up to you and to Bridget somehow. Then, leaving now.